from your perspective, as you think about managing risks as a practice owner.
And I'm going to give you an example of why you do need someone to actually help you with that thought process. And exactly what you talked about a second ago with you're worth something. You're willing to go if you're experiencing whatever it may be, but you're going to get a really bad experience if someone says, well, now you owe me a cancellation fee or whatever it may be. And the challenge is that A, is it really worth it, right? Is it really worth that charge $25 or $50 for that? And B, there may be a compliance issue with that. So I'm one of the few people that says, scrap that, throw that out of your playbook, get that out of your policy, because A, there's payers out there that don't even allow you to do that. And most people are not reading those contracts. So you may all of a sudden have a grievance filed against you, and then you're just playing cleanup. So it's just not good customer service to do that anyway. And from an administrative standpoint, all that time just adds up money for, was it really worth the $25 or the $50 to do that? And then you just lost someone worth $3,000 for the next year. So, but the strategic, I think, what you were saying of managing risk, I think all about diversification. So I'm a big fan of, if you're allowed to do it, take advantage of it, because people are measuring, are we billing certain codes? Are we utilizing things that we've been, privy to now? So for instance, 2024, we were allowed the 3 new caregiver codes. They were written really poorly because they're going to basically add 3 more in 2026 to cover up for some of the mistakes, but they're worth money. So these are great codes to actually implement. I believe on your website, you did a really great job. Another good shout out to you for making it simple. For the APTA has the same thing, but you have to download the Excel. It's clunky. It's not so smooth. Yours is just like, you put the number in, you say where you are, poof. You say the number of units that you need.
Oh, the Medicare fee calculator. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So it tells you what these codes are worth.
And it's actually also fed by real reimbursements. So it's actually, it's not what's in the booklet or whatever.
Right. Because there you have to search for your exact region and stuff like that. It's not so easy, but the caregiver codes they're worth money. It's a great thing to do. They're still relatively new. So if you could capture, a 97550 that's worth $58 in Long Island, that's great. That's a great thing to do. And the patient doesn't even have to be there. There's a consent issue, of course, right now, but they're going to correct that because usually the patient's in front of you. So you can't actually build this code when the patient's in front of you, and they're going to solve for that in 2026. But just expanding and diversifying what codes you're selecting makes you look good, not just on paper, but you have more weapons to use and you minimize your exposure. So if you're just ramping up like everyone did last year on 530, everyone said, well, we're going to go and run this route and say functional activities is paying way more than everyone else. It got the biggest bump in reimbursement. Guess what happened? They're all getting audited now because statistically it didn't make sense, right? You can't go from a 22% to a 45% on your caseload of billing this. It's just not like gradually, maybe that makes sense. But unless you just had a unbelievable good luck streak from a referral source, that's probably not going to happen unless you're doing that intentionally. And nobody likes these types of intentional playing with units and stuff like that. It should be always reflecting of what you're actually providing. And I think that's really, you've probably heard me say this before, the gold standard is always, don't play the game, just accurately reflect what you're doing. So capture that in a meaningful way, and everything else will take care of itself, because then when you do get audited, there's nothing to worry about because you won't need someone like me to clean it up.
If you'd like to learn more about Strata PT and see how our EMR and RCM works, head over to stratapt.com to book a demo.